You're watching the award-winning GHS-TV, a nationally recognized student television station.
Welcome to Inspiring Leaders. I'm Donna Chandler Newman, your host for our show, and thank you for watching our program. Through this show, we meet community leaders and we examine how they're using their unique talents and their skill sets to make a difference. And through our discussions, we hope to inspire others to discover and to share their own leadership abilities for the overall betterment of our community. Now, today on our show, we'll talk about memory loss and very specifically Alzheimer's. We all know that this disease clearly impacts the patient, but just as surely, we know that it affects the entire family, particularly the caregiver. Now, our guests on today's show are with Paige Robbins Adult Day Center, an organization that provides daytime care for adults with memory loss while empowering and educating their caregivers and the community. Paige Robbins, an adult day center that embraces the joy in the moment, focusing not on what's been lost, but instead on what is now. Joining us now, Herbie Krisle, Executive Director, and Camille Hill, Board Member, both with Paige Robbins Adult Day Center. Ladies, thank you so much for coming today.
Thanks for the invitation.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Well, such an important topic too, isn't it? And it seems to be more and more and more that we see memory loss and Alzheimer's in particular now. Let's start with background though. Herbie, tell me a little about your background and how'd you end up with Paige Robbins?
I have had a varied background. I began with the University of Tennessee Extension Service, was recruited by a wholesale grocer, Malone and Hyde, worked for them for 10 years, and then was recruited by the food bank of the Mid-South, it used to be Memphis Food Bank, to work in their program. So I've got education, corporate and nonprofit experience. But I think the best experience that I have brought to the table with Paige Robbins is that I cared for my mother. I was her sole caregiver for when she had Alzheimer's disease and vascular dementia combination, and learned a huge amount about myself and about how to navigate some of the waters of this disease.
I would think it's a fairly confusing thing to have in your parent. I can see how corporate and all of your background all came to play to make you at the perfect place at the perfect time. But your mom and your experience there really told you how important the mission is.
Yes, absolutely.
And speaking of the mission, tell me the history of Paige Robbins and its mission.
Okay. We were formed in 1995, so we're celebrating our 25th year. We were formed as an offshoot of a support group at Collierville United Methodist Church.
Really?
And that group of, that small group of people who were caregivers themselves saw the need for an adult day program in Collierville. At that time, there was only one program in the county, I believe.
Wow.
And so they had no knowledge of how to operate or start a nonprofit, but they began in early 1995, and we opened in September of 95 at the Collierville Christian Church. And so it's a grassroots organization and has grown tremendously over that time period. We now have our own facility at Houston Levee and Wolf River Boulevard, kind of where Collierville and Germantown join. And it's a beautiful spot, and we're serving many, many families.
Oh, that's wonderful. It really is. And you've been with them how long?
Almost 15 years.
Really? So tell me the mission, because it is a dual mission, isn't it?
It's a dual mission. We want to provide exceptional care for those with memory loss, but at the same time, we provide care for the caregiver. And people don't have to have a loved one at Paige Robbins in order to use our caregiver support programs. We have people who have loved ones in New York, and they will never participate in Paige Robbins, but they participate in our caregiver support programs.
And certainly need that, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's great.
You know a little bit about support, don't you, Camille?
Yeah.
Let's start with you. Okay,
Sure.
First of all, this is a volunteer position for you. You've been exposed to it personally, and you are a board member as well. You work for Express Scripts. You're a pharmacist, is that right?
Yes, that's right.
Okay, so tell me How did you become involved with Paige Robbins, and why Paige Robbins? There's many places to put your time and talent.
Sure. Yes. So really, it was my primary care physician. So went in for a visit one day and was just extremely tired beyond anything I had experienced before. So I went in assuming that there was some sort of medical issue as to, why I was tired. So we rang
with you?
With me. Yeah, not with my mom. And this was many years ago, so probably 9 or so years ago.
Wow.
And so she ran a battery of tests. We kind of talked about what was going on in my life, and at that point, medically, there was nothing wrong. So she realized I was just kind of in over my head. And so we talked about the fact that I had very small children at that time, a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old, and then a mother that I was caring for. So I'm an only child, so the only caregiver for my mother who had Alzheimer's. And she asked me if I had heard of the concept of an adult daycare program. And even as a healthcare professional, I had not heard of the concept. And so she exposed me to it, gave me the list of a couple of adult daycare centers, programs, and I went in and viewed.
That's amazing. So did you visit several and decide on Paige Robbins?
I did.
What made you choose Paige Robbins?
Well, a number of things. So one of them is that I'd say when I went in, the participants were just happy. So I could imagine my mom being there. I mean, we were at the point where she was at home, with me most of the day, so she was safe and that sort of thing, but she wasn't really engaged. She didn't really have a lot that she was doing socially, every day. So you went there, the participants were very happy and engaged. The caregivers were really concerning. And then I think what particularly won me over was the social worker. So Sherry, when I went in, it's kind of exactly what Herbie was talking about. She didn't, she wasn't pushing me to come to Paige Robbins. She just wanted me to know that I had some resources, because she knew that I had a pretty complicated, situation going on right then. So I could just tell that she cared. And she told me how good their food was, and then she offered me lunch. So,
did you eat lunch?
I did.
And it was really good?
It was really good. So, yeah, it felt right, It just felt very different than some of the other facilities that I saw.
I think that's wonderful, and I think a lot of times, do you pick from your gut a lot of times from what you feel? Is that what you see?
I think so. Would you agree?
So.
Yeah, I think so. When you're choosing any kind of assistance, whether it's a medical professional or a long-term care facility or an adult day program, I think you can kind of tell if your family member is going to fit. And we try to make sure that as individuals are touring, we try to introduce them to some of the participants.
Which you did with Sherry.
Absolutely,
right?
and participated in an activity at the time. So,
really?
Yeah.
Yeah, we think we hear what the families are saying, and we kind of picture what their loved ones' involvement is, and then we kind of introduce them to people that we think might be similar. Then that gives them a little bit of an idea. When they hear someone with dementia speak or talk about what we do during the day, I think that gives them a better feeling.
Well, let's talk about dementia and Alzheimer's, because, I mean, I forget all kinds of things myself, and sometimes I think it's a senior moment. How do you know when it's a senior moment and when it's Alzheimer's?
Well, the first thing I will tell you, that if you are really concerned about memory issues or lapses, that you need to seek medical attention. Go to your primary care physician and say, I'm concerned. If your primary care physician kind of poo-poos that, then you need to maybe find another primary care physician. But there is a very distinct difference. When you and I forget where we put our keys, we can retrace our steps. A person with dementia, which is an umbrella term for any type of memory loss, it is not a diagnosis. It's just an umbrella term for a symptom. When anyone with dementia, they won't remember what a key is for. Not only can they not find it, but they may not understand what to do with it once they find it.
I see.
Or I may see someone in the supermarket and they may talk to me, and I may not be able to immediately remember who they are. A person with dementia may have lunch with their siblings, and after the lunch ask their caregiver, who were those nice people?
Okay.
So there are significant breaches in the ability to remember, have judgment, and reason. And so it's very, very different. So don't worry if you forget where your keys are.
But there are, with what you're talking about, you had your mom at home for 7 years, did you tell me?
Yes.
So with that kind of distinction, it didn't start all at once, is that right?
No, not at all. And really it had been a few years before she was officially diagnosed. You know, in retrospect now, I realize that probably 2 or 3 years before I had her diagnosed, I really should have had her in speaking to someone about it.
And it's not an immediate, like, let's take them to a residence and park mom wherever.
No.
That's what, you're like a stopgap, is that right?
We are. We like to call ourselves a midpoint in the continuum of care. And as Camille said, she had no idea that this program, that this type of program was available. So many people feel like they have to leave their job or completely focus and care for that person until they almost kill themselves as a caregiver. Because they don't know that there's another option, or they may find in-home care is so expensive that they can't manage that. And you know, things with skilled nursing facilities have changed so much that you have to meet both, you have to meet medical and physical criteria, which most people with memory loss would not. So that only leaves memory care facilities for someone with dementia to live in. Quite frankly, most people who are in our care will at some point need to be in a residential facility before they pass away. Doesn't always happen, but most people make that.
And that's got to be comfortable for a caregiver to know that there is an intermediate place to go, right?
Absolutely, yeah. I had done, you know, what I knew to do on my own. So I had started working part-time because it was important to me to continue working, but I thought I couldn't manage, you know, full-time work anymore. And then I started working at home so that I could be available during the day, but I still kind of needed an additional push. So once I realized there was another step, it was a really good fit.
And you give them activities. They do gardening and art and music and
absolutely.
So
there's raucous laughter at Paige Robbins.
As a caregiver, I would appreciate. Will y'all stay with me for a few minutes and let's talk a little more?
Yeah,
all
absolutely.
right. Thank you very much. We're going to stop for a commercial break. And so we're going to pause now for a short break, and when we return, we'll continue talking with Herbie Krisle and Camille Hill about Paige Robbins Adult Day Center.
We see the potential in every single student.
That sounds like a confession to me.
I love watching these kids as they start as freshmen in high school and watching them mature and grow.
At last, my right arm is complete again!
The theater program at GHS, it's something special.
Is very intensive, it's very interactive.
When a student starts here their freshman year, they start with Introduction to Theater. And after that year, they have a choice to either go into acting or technical theater. And then after that, they join our production workshop class. It's the class that is completely run by students.
The students do mostly everything. We build the sets, we do lighting, we make the costumes, we do the shows.
It's very fun. I mean, everybody's very supportive of each other.
Now we're all in this together.
It's taught me so much about how to act and how to have a stage presence.
Not only are we teaching the students the skills that they need to be a great performer or a great stage manager or a wonderful lighting designer, we're teaching them skills that they're going to be able to apply to whatever they do in their life.
You guys are fabulous!
This department not only makes wonderful theater, but more importantly, this department makes wonderful people.
For more information about the Kappa program, visit ghskappa.com or call 755-7775. You're watching the award-winning GHS-TV, a nationally recognized student television station.
Welcome back. I'm Donna Chandler Newman, and you are watching Inspiring Leaders. Today, we're talking with leaders from Paige Robbins Adult Day Center. We're pleased to continue our discussion with Executive Director Herbie Krisle and Board Member Camille Hill, both with Paige Robbins Adult Day Center. Ladies, thank you for staying with me.
Sure.
I have learned so much about Alzheimer's and dementia just working with you a little bit. You have, how many people are on that work there, actually?
We have a total of 22 staff members. We have a few part-time, most are full-time. Our ratio of direct caregivers to participants is 1 direct caregiver for every 4 to 5 participants. And then my management team is on top of that, and art and music consultants are on top of that, and any volunteers are on top of that. You know, so it's a really strong
It's very
program.
strong. At one point I heard that the ratio asked for by the state was 1 to 8.
That's correct.
So that's really great, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, I bet that makes you feel really good.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah, and because I was familiar with it by looking for child care, you know, so I understood the importance of the ratio, and you can see the difference at Paige Robbins.
Yeah, and to even ask that question. Yeah, that's actually where I learned it too, originally. So, okay, you're on the board, Camille. You know, when you talk about that number of people, I'm sure you also use volunteers, by the way.
Yes, we do.
You could not possibly do everything you do with just, what do your volunteers do?
Well, today we have volunteers every Thursday that paint. All the ladies that want their fingernails painted, they paint their fingernails.
Oh, that's fabulous.
It is fabulous. And then we have art volunteers and music. We have lots of opportunities with the participants, but we also have support activities. Our front desk receptionist is on staff from 7 in the morning to 3:30. So then from 3:30 to about 5:45, we have a volunteer receptionist. And we have 5 of them, plus some extra that are on call. So there are all kinds of things. We also use volunteers to help us with our fundraising events. And of course, we are a nonprofit organization, and so our board members are unpaid or volunteer board members.
As well, right? Yeah. Well, in fact, I know you also have organizations.
We do. Lots of groups that help us. Some corporations do team building there and school groups. We have a variety of civic groups, particularly women's organizations that come and help us arrange flowers or give our birthday parties, help with our holiday parties. So there's lots of opportunities that people, if they're interested, can find out about and participate with us.
And organizations can adopt you, if you will. I know my own Germantown Garden Club comes out and does many arrangements, and they really enjoy it. It's kind of a garden therapy sort of thing.
It is. It's a wonderful thing.
That's really wonderful. So it does take volunteers as well, but in order to pay the number of people you're talking about and the many layers of caregivers that are there, it takes a lot of money.
It does.
And that boils down to the board many times. And so, talk to me about where your money comes from.
Well, the participants pay to come to Paige Robbins, so they pay about 50% of our annual budget. The average daily cost to attend Paige Robbins is $69 a day, which includes breakfast and lunch and an afternoon snack, all the supplies for art and such that they need. There are no additional charges unless they wish to have personal care done. We can provide bathing services and such, and there is an additional charge for that. But we seek donations from individuals, churches, corporations, foundations.
Grants, yeah.
We do we do a few grants. And then we have some fundraising events as well. We have 3 major fundraisers that bring in a considerable portion of that annual budget.
So about almost about half of that, right?
Yeah, almost half, probably.
Yeah. And you know, at one point you actually told me a number. You said to sponsor a day. Tell me how much that is again.
To pay what the clients do not pay to finish, to subsidize that, it's $2,817.
Wow. So $2,817 plus the $69 per day, right?
Right. Per person, yeah.
Is what it takes. Oh,
correct.
My gosh.
So, If you wanted to sponsor a day, you could have Donna Chandler Newman Day, or you could have Germantown TV Day. And so individuals can do that if they wish, and they can come and participate and so on. So we do have that option.
Oh, I see. So that's really, well, Camille, as a member of the board, which of these is your favorite fundraiser?
I definitely would say the gala. So we have an annual gala. I guess it just occurred a few weeks ago, about a month ago. You know, and for me, it's a nice time to get dressed up and you know, have a date night, you know, with my husband, that sort of deal. Invite some other people so that they are exposed to Paige Robbins and what it is they do as well. So I really enjoy the gala.
So it gives you a chance to show off what the organization does as well, right?
Absolutely.
Yes. In fact, I had several friends who were at your gala, and they talked about how absolutely fabulous it was.
Oh,
so,
thank you.
Yeah, so I'm sure y'all were very proud of it.
We were.
It's typically in what month?
February. It's generally the first Saturday night of February.
So if I'm interested in coming next year, because I missed this year, then I should actually watch your website for the exact date, but count on the first Saturday in
February. Or you can tell me your address and we'll make sure you get an invitation.
That's great. And if I wanted to do that, then what number would I call to reach you?
Sure. Our number is 854-1200.
Well, that's just easy.
It is easy.
854-1200 is what I would call, or I'd go to your website, which is
PageRobbins.org, and that's PageRobbins.org.
Okay, gotcha, and we'll come back to that, I'm sure. Okay, so the gala has a silent auction. What else does it have?
We have a silent auction, a live auction, and what we call Fund a Need, where people just are generous and give us money. We show a video about our center. We create a new video every year, so it's got participants, their families, staff members that kind of give their perspective of what we do. And those are on our website if people want to watch them. It's called Take a Tour, I think, and those videos are on our website.
The thing that fascinated me the most and what actually urged me to call you all is the way that you speak about your participants. And very specifically, I saw a commercial on television, and I saw a number of them actually. And they told me that through those commercials, my impression was that these are not just patients doing whatever. These are people that you all love and enjoy seeing and value. Tell me about those commercials.
Well, they are simply visuals. They're videos that actually were kind of B-roll, if you will, extra film from our gala videos. And so it shows in action what people are doing every day. And on those particular commercials, there is no voiceover. It just shows the engagement of the participants.
And what I read was something like they need a hug. They enjoy laughter.
Happiness, laughter, and happiness and laughter may be the same one, but it's respect. We just showed 3 components of what we believe are the most important things about Paige Robbins.
So if you had someone there, I would think, Camille, that would feel very reassuring that your mom's a person, you know?
Right, absolutely. So, you know, I think that's the thing. Whenever I used to tell people that my mother was at an adult daycare program, they would get sad and, you know, they would, oh, you know, sort of deal. And I think these sorts of commercials, you know, or so that people can see what their day is like, I mean, it gave her a social outlet, you know. So she was very social before. She was a school teacher. She had a, you know, circle of women she used to lunch with and do coffee and that sort of thing, and that was missing for her. So it really did give her something to look forward to, and again, kind of have a peer group. So it's a ton of fun at Paige Robbins.
So good for her, but also good for you. I would think you could do your work more easily, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yes. So for me, you know, again, it was important for me to continue working.
Yes.
And to be able to appropriately care for my children. And I kind of felt like I was being tugged in two different directions. And so to know that she could be somewhere safe, nurturing, and fun, you know,
what
while
else
I
could
was
you,
working.
Yeah,
absolutely.
What else could you want? You know, we were talking about your fundraisers, and I didn't ask you about the ones that are upcoming. You have 2 more coming up this year.
We do. On June the 13th, people can participate in a no-show fun run. So you can give us money instead of buying new running shoes, or come and have some cookies instead of running 5 miles, whatever it is you want to do on that day. That's a fun event that is painless, completely painless.
This would be the only kind of run I ever participated in.
Yeah, it's one I like to.
And you said that you give like a run package.
We
as
do.
Though we had
T-shirt, bib numbers, all of that, but you don't run.
That's real. I bet that's fun.
It is. It is.
And the third one every year is your golf tournament.
We do. We have a golf tournament. This year it's on October 8th. We'll be at Windike Country Club. We play in the morning and afternoon. People tell us it's the best tournament they play in. We'll take that. There's not much nickel and diming. People, once they get there, they pay, and then they are not asked for any more money while they're there. So it's kind of a fun day.
You know, there are 7 licensed facilities for adult care, daycare in the area. And you guys are one of the 7. You're not competitors with each other, though. You are kind to each other.
Oh, absolutely. We refer back and forth. If someone from Bartlett called me and said we'd like to ask questions, I would certainly invite them to come and respond, but I also would say, are you aware that there are 2 other centers that are probably much closer to you?
So, the best part is, if I had a mother or a father that I was concerned about, I would want to come tour first.
Sure.
Right? And then?
Then we have a fabulous, in my opinion, it is what makes us so successful, a wonderful admission process.
I think that's perfect, and I thank you guys so much. What you're doing for the community and for individual families is so important to our community. So thank you. Thank you for what you do.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. And wishing your mom all the best.
Thank you.
And thank you for being with us today for Inspiring Leaders. We appreciate our guests on today's show, Herbie Krisle and Camille Hill, both with Paige Robbins Adult Day Center. I hope you've enjoyed hearing about the very excellent work they do. And if you've been inspired as I have, and you'd like to do their fun run, for instance, you'd like to volunteer, you'd like to donate, or just learn more about Paige Robbins Adult Day Center, please do visit their website, pagerobbins.org, pagerobbins.org. Thank you once more for watching our show. If you're interested in the air dates of Inspiring Leaders or for our station's complete programming guide, you can visit GHS-TV.org, where we're streaming live 24 hours a day. You can keep up with GHS-TV by visiting our website. We hope you'll like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter. Thank you for joining us for today's show. Be sure and watch our show, Inspiring Leaders, again next month.